A mom and son are among 3 people arrested in a recent double stabbing in Fresno. The arrest happened just yesterday at Hammond Avenue and Mariposa Street. Catherine, speaking of budgets, Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer laying out the city budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The mayor is proposing a budget of more than $2.3 billion. Missing for 20 days, 27-year-old Tiffany Slayton was found near Lake Edison the day before her 28th birthday, which is tomorrow. A month-long investigation into human trafficking continues. Doctors and nurses are often on the front lines of this crisis. A former Fresno State basketball coach never thought that his son, a basketball star turned football standout, would play a deadly game with fentanyl. I recently sat down with Major General Matthew Beavers in Sacramento with the California National Guard to find out what is happening here at the border right now to keep families across the Central Valley and the state of California safe. She is fueled by her own horrific story of being trafficked on the streets of Los Angeles. Now, she is more motivated than ever after her daughter was lured into the same nightmare, a nightmare that ultimately cost her her life. Esteban, I'm curious to know, what is the atmosphere outside of the hospital? Of course, we know this is one of at least 3 hospitals where students were sent for their injuries today. Mayor Jerry Dyer says the city lost its pro-housing designation, ending easier access to affordable housing grants. CBS 47's Jennifer Zucker has reaction tonight from the mayor and a city council member. The swimming pool is still not warm enough to be in yet.
Really?
Yeah.
You have a good amount of, you get some shade?
No,
I don't know what's going on. No, there's really no shade.
You have bad energy, that's what it is.
Is that what it is?
No.
Wow.
Said no warm pool for you.
Says Kat. Okay. How about this? Scientists are finding Nemo is getting smaller. This is a tight shot, as you can see, and I'm seeing this along with you for the very first time, so it is unclear exactly what is on fire. It looks like we're going to pull back that shot a little bit. Is this a roof that we're looking at? You can see the tree on the right-hand side of the screen, so we can tell this is elevated. There's a light to the left. For us here in California, the #1 location for fentanyl trafficking, yes, it is still here at the San Ysidro Port of Entry. I can't thank you enough for being here tonight. You are so brave to talk about Jackson. You really are.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you
welcome.
for doing this.
Look up at the valley skies. You may see a new firefighting tool. Today, Cal Fire announced the C-130 Hercules is now in Fresno. Feels like half of our newsroom is going to the Clovis performance on Friday. I'll be out there too. Rob Hagan went to the South Valley to find out more about the farm tour. Now, it wouldn't feel as cold if you didn't cut off all your hair and left just a little bit more.
It had to go. It was time.
We like it. It looks good. All right. That'll do it for this edition of Eyewitness News at 6. It is hard to believe this November marks 36 years since Dorothea Puente was arrested. She died in prison, but the house she lived in is still standing, and its secrets buried behind its walls will live on forever.
Why? Why would anybody do this? And that can't really be answered because she's clearly like a sociopath or a psychopath, right? No one does this to people.
In the 1980s, Dorothea Puente was a household name. The media called her the Death House landlady.
Serial killers are not often women, so that's really unusual, and they're not often women who look like your grandma.
The chilling story of her murderous rampage was well known here in the Central Valley, across California, and word quickly spread across the country. Dorothea was running a boarding house catered to the elderly, lower income, and those coming from rehab or jail.
I hate that the story is sometimes sensationalized because it's a, little old lady burying people in her yard.
The shock factor has drawn interest from all around the world in news articles, documentaries, even a Netflix TV show. It's a story few know better than senior archivist Kim Hayden.
This is a diagram of the yard and the house showing the burial plots.
In 2014, Sacramento police turned over all the evidence to the Center for Sacramento History.
This has just everything. It's got photographs of the excavations, photographs of the bodies, autopsy photographs, autopsy reports, pill vials, photographs of the victims, photographs of the inside of the house, outside of the house, court transcripts, handwriting samples, checks that have been cashed.
The collection even has garden tools like this shovel recovered from Dorothea's house at 1426 F Street, a boarding house where Dorothea disguised herself as a petite, caring old lady. Little did anyone know she was a ruthless killer, serving meals alongside a poisonous drink to wash it down. She was so cold, so calculated, she even wrote to the families of her victims to make it appear as if they were alive, months after she killed them.
He asked me to write and let you know he's okay. Said you'd know how much he hates to write. He's doing well with selling some of his carvings. Said he did not want you to have the police out again. I'll try and drop you a line every couple weeks. We might get married in November. Take care and God bless.
She never cared about her tenants. She just wanted their Social Security checks. It was all about greed for Dorothea as she killed for cash.
So she is buying perfume, she's getting plastic surgery, she's just buying a bunch of stuff that's not important. It's not like she's trying to like put her kid through school or, you know, shore up her house or something. She's just buying crap. And that's what's so troubling about it. It's like, what was the point?
Makes you emotional. I heard your voice kind of crack at the beginning of it.
Yeah, it really does. I feel a little protective of the victims, honestly.
9 people are believed to have died at the hands of Dorothea Puente, Ruth Monroe, Everson Gilmouth, Dorothy Miller, Benjamin Fink, Leona Carpenter, Bert Montoya, Betty Palmer, James Gallup, Vera Faye Martin. 7 bodies were discovered buried in Dorothea's yard. Betty Palmer was the only one to be dismembered. Her head, hands, and legs have never been found.
They're the story, but they're not. You know, people don't know who they are. And that's because they were people who had hard lives. They didn't have a lot of people with them. They didn't live, you know, with their loved ones. Their loved ones weren't necessarily checking up on them.
Dorothea's calendar, collected as evidence, shows the day the web of deceit and death came to an end.
You can see there's only a half slice through here. So this is when the police came and started digging and found the bodies.
Tenant John Sharp helped make it happen. As everyone was questioned, out of Dorothea's view, he wrote this note on an envelope and held it up to a police officer. It reads, "She wants me to lie." It's one of the more horrifying pieces in the collection.
They interviewed her and then they let her go. She immediately fled to LA, where she was caught because she was in a bar chatting with a man who recognized her on the TV. A fugitive, and called the police.
The jury deliberated for 24 days and found Dorothea Puente guilty of 3 counts of murder.
Why she wasn't convicted of the other ones, I don't know. And so then she gets sent to Chowchilla prison.
And that's where she died at the age of 82. The house is on the National Register of Historic Places, therefore it will never be torn down. Tomorrow night, I will take you inside the house. It's a tour that will send chills up your spine, and it's a story that you're not going to want to miss. Now to an Eyewitness News exclusive as my month-long investigation into human trafficking continues. I recently sat down with a Fresno woman who is working to end human trafficking. She is fueled by her own horrific story of being trafficked on the streets of Los Angeles. Now, she is more motivated than ever after her daughter was lured into the same nightmare, a nightmare that ultimately cost her her life.
In 1999, I was lured out by a gang member here in Fresno, California because of a drug debt that was owed by my mother and taken down to Los Angeles, where I was brutally trafficked for several months. Ultimately, I was able to find my way out because of a Fresno police officer.
Many of you recognize Deborah Rush. She is the co-founder of Breaking the Chains, a well-known nonprofit in Fresno focused on providing healing and hope to human trafficking survivors. Very difficult work inspired by her own pain.
I ended up turning to drugs and alcohol to cope with all the things that I was experiencing emotionally, and that led me back into a very dangerous lifestyle. In 2008, my life came crashing to a halt. I got into an altercation with a buyer, I stabbed him, and I was looking at a pretty lengthy prison sentence. Thankfully, there was an incredible judge who really looked deeper into the situation and was able to give me a second chance on life.
Deborah turned to the faith community and says that is what turned her life around. A women's conference offered healing. It was there that she was inspired to start breaking the chains. Since 2014, Breaking the Chains has helped more than 3,200 people right here in the Central Valley.
How does that feel?
You know, I want to say that it feels accomplished to be able to serve that many individuals, but at the same time, it's heartbreaking to think that there have been 3,200 people that have come through our door.
Deborah argues most choose this lifestyle, but none actually want to be part of it. Pimps are searching for broken, vulnerable, and desperate young women, and in some cases, young men, in search of stability. Many of those who end up on the streets and in the grip of human trafficking are runaways or foster children.
We are only scraping the bottom of the bucket, right? We know that there is at least 70% more out there. That's scary. Those are real numbers whenever we think about what's actually happening out here within our community and throughout the central San Joaquin Valley.
How important are conversations like this?
Conversations like this are very critical. We have to understand that as complex and complicated and heavy as human trafficking can feel, that all of us have an ability to do something.
Breaking the chains is saving lives, but sadly, there are many lives lost. And a little more than a year ago, the pain and the trauma that Deborah left behind on the streets came back to haunt her. Her 20-year-old daughter, Kendra McIntyre, was shot and killed on Figueroa Street in Los Angeles.
We may never be clear on exactly the reason why we lost Kendra. What we do know is that Kendra was being trafficked in an area that is 100% gang impacted and gang controlled. And another child who is utilized by the gang in that area was given direction to murder our daughter. Kendra and I talked at some point almost daily. I'm sorry. It's very difficult not to have a conversation, a memory, an activity where you're setting out to plan this and you're planning for certain things to happen, and then to know that she's not a part of that is very, very difficult for us.
I know you were so motivated with breaking the chains through your own trauma, your own experience. Are you that more motivated now after losing Kendra?
I am so much more motivated now in the anti-human trafficking movement than I was before. It is my promise to her that, again, my last exhale will be making sure that I'm doing everything in my power to ensure that everyone's child makes it home safe tonight.
And if you or someone you know wants to break the chains, you can contact Deborah Rush and her team. They are based in Fresno. You will find them on social media, btcfresno.org, or by calling the phone number on your screen. And we have two stories airing next week. One on Wednesday, part 5 of Human Trafficking Breaking the Cycle. Senator Shannon Grove takes the fight to the state capitol where right now she is trying to change a state law to protect all young people from this dangerous lifestyle. And the following night, on next Thursday, the finale, we are back undercover with Fresno PD on another undercover sting.